lady. She's been doing amazing work. I've had a chance to meet her on several occasions. Um, I met her at the LICI. I think one of their events regarding the building of the new recreation center.
Okay.
Yeah, to say the least. And then I met her again at the actual event where she actually put on some kente cloth. I wish I had that footage. I was DJing that event, but I seen you was doing things. So it's a pleasure to finally really talk to you, meet you.
Yeah.
Give you a chance to introduce yourself here on As One.
All right. Well, certainly appreciate being here. And as one, thank you for having me. But as was stated, I am Representative Latyna Humphrey. I have the pleasure of representing Ohio's 2nd House District. So that encompasses the entire east side of Columbus, where we are right now, the entire city of Whitehall. And then I have little parts of surrounding cities. So I have parts of Reynoldsburg, Blacklick, Canal, Winchester, in Groveport. And I have been in office since 2021. I was appointed first, and then I was elected. I was appointed to fill a vacancy and then reelected, and now currently up for reelection. I am, and I'll wrap this up, but I am a mother first. I am a 2-time author, and you could say I'm a national speaker as well.
Yes, and all that said is true. She is remarkable, y'all. Like, before you even meet her, you get to see her work. That's what I really is amazing about. Is before I got a chance to say, "Hey, how you doing?" and I was like, "God, hey, did she see me? Am I looking?" But no, she's really moving mountains, and I think it's important that she tell you guys what she's doing. And if you're interested, hey, she's on Instagram. You can follow her on Instagram. Yeah. But we really want to really get down to the nitty gritty because we're in the primaries right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about that. What are some things you've been seeing or you want people to focus on as far as it pertains to the primary, and what are some things that you're working on right now for District 2?
Yeah, so as the primary is concerned, we've got a few things on the ballot. So obviously it is the presidential primary. You know that you'll be voting federally, so you'll be voting for Congress. You'll also be voting for United States Senate. And then you will be voting for state rep, and I believe there's some county offices on the ballot as well. So there are lots of things that are on the ballot that you all should be paying attention to and doing your research on so that you can make the appropriate decisions. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for or how to vote for them, but what I am saying is that you should research and that you should get out to vote, because the reality is I'm not going to do this spiel and say this is the most important election of our lifetime. It kind of is, but also there are some real issues on the line. Sherrod Brown is on the ballot. And he's going up against some people that I would just encourage you to do your research on. So it's just a lot, and so yeah, that's what I would say as far as the primary election. I also am on the ballot. However, we are unopposed, and I think that just speaks to the work that we have been doing in our community. But I will say on March 18th, we find out if we do have an independent opponent. We're not worried. We're going to, still continue to do the things that we've been doing. But that is a possibility. But we will not know until the 18th. Wanted to talk about some of the things that I've done in the community. I would tell you that, and we can split this up however you would like. But I'll tell you that we have been adamant about making sure that, 1, we bring back money to our district, 2, we legislate on behalf of our district, and then 3, we make sure that we're boots on the ground in our district. And I say that because I am in the Ohio House of Representatives, and I am in the super minority, which means there are less Democrats, way less Democrats than there are Republicans. And so sometimes that can be difficult to legislate the way that you want. And so because of that, you've got to be boots on the ground. And we take pride in the community work that we've been able to do. We've done the Warm the Block event. We've had basketball events. We've had senior resource fairs for our seniors. We've had community resource fairs. We've had reentry job fairs for those who are returning home from incarceration to make sure that they can, find jobs and things like that. We've got a senior advisory team because we know that seniors are the foundation of our community. But ultimately, if I'm being honest with y'all, I appreciate everybody's votes, but those are the folks who vote for me. When we look at the stats, those are people who get out and support me the most. And so we want to make sure that we're showing that they're appreciated as well. So we do a lot of stuff. I can talk about legislation, but I'll let you take us there. But we've been very successful legislatively, and I'll put a pin there and say I am one of the most successful legislators in the state of Ohio, and specifically on the Democratic side in this General Assembly, and I'm proud to say that. So
yes. Hey, make sure we're supporting these people. Like she said, she appreciates every one of your votes, but she knows the data. She's reading it, she's clicking. It's something out there. It's called click data, okay? When you click it, it tells me what age range you are. It gives me your email. So we're following those data. So we want to see more and more people, that everybody, do your part, because we're going to do our part, okay? She mentioned a few things that I want to kind of touch on in her speech there. I want to talk about what does community means to you as it pertains to the work that you're doing, being representative for District 2. I was raised in District 2, so I understand the struggle and what's happening. I know we had Eastland Mall is no longer there. We had the movie theater across the street that's no longer there. I remember growing up to Media Play, which was on the corner. So I'm one of those grassroots people in Columbus that really love Columbus, and you're actually talking about my area that I grew in. So I have a lot of questions of what's to come for for District 2 as it pertains to the community.
So you asked what community means to me, and it's each and every one of you all. You guys make District 2, you make your communities better, you make them vibrant, you make them strong. And when there's not community, that's where you see voids, that's where you see breaks, and that's where you see struggle. But I would say community is when we as a people and we as a constituency come together and really try to make our district, our community better. You see that with the area commissions in District 2. Shout out to Far East Area Commission, Mid East Area Commission, Greater Southeast Area Commission, LICI, HACO. I mean, just all of these different organizations who are really striving to really make our communities better. But when we have those breaks and when we have those voids, that's when, our communities don't necessarily get all the love and support that they necessarily need. So that's what community means to me, coming together, looking at the greater good and working towards that. And I would say all those folks that I've mentioned have tried to do that, and sometimes without the support governmentally that they need, and we have to be honest about that. You said what is to come for the Eastland community.
Yes.
And what I will tell you is that if you care, and I'm telling this to you all, I'm telling this to you, if you truly care about the Eastland community, you know that there is an Eastland plan right now. And the beautiful thing about the Eastland plan, and I'll tell you that it mirrors what was done in Linden, it mirrors what was done in the Hilltop, and some of what was done on the South Side. The city is realizing, look, there are areas of opportunities in these communities, and so therefore we need to do something about it. The beautiful other thing, again, about this is the people are getting a say in what they want to see happen with the Eastland community. And so at this point, they have met 2 times. I believe they just met last week. It's hundreds of people.
I was going to say, I've seen a meeting that was held regard, but that was just for Eastland Mall.
Well, it's for Eastland community.
The entire, okay.
It's not right. So, they met just last week, and then they met in October, and then sometimes they have like these little meetings online as well. But this is where you get to provide your voice and your input. The other thing that I think is important also about this process, and kind of where I step in is because since I've been in office, I'm not from the east side of Columbus, I'm from the near east side of Columbus, but I realized that there were some areas of opportunities. So I tried to go through my Rolodex and see what I could do even before there was an Eastland plan. And the thing that's happening with this plan is they are trying to bring in stakeholders, because if we don't bring in partnerships into this Eastland plan, it'll be the difference from what you're seeing in Linden and then the difference from what you're seeing in Hilltop. Both of them had a plan, and both of them are great, but because there was more buy-in in Linden, i.e. Nationwide Children's, i.e. Huntington, all these different people who are buying in, you'll see a little bit more of a progression. You look at Hilltop, the buy-in wasn't the same, and that's what I'll leave it at. But the community definitely
we could see it.
the community did play a part, and they were a part of that process, and it's beautiful. What I've been trying to do as state rep, and again I'll say it even before there was an official plan or even the actual conversation, I was trying to get people to buy in. So I'll say this, and I'm just speaking to what I have tried to do, but none of it is concrete. So hear me when I say that. But spoken to Columbus State Community College, spoken to other health entities to want to come out here and have some buy-in and have some stake and all of that. So that way, we can see some more progression. So we need to talk to the banks. We need to talk to all these different these different entities, so they can see how beautiful Eastland is, and want to buy in. Because you mentioned media play and some other things.
Yeah.
The reality is the Eastland area truly was a commercialized area, and this is also something that's a little bit different from the other plans, and it makes it a little bit more difficult and a little bit also more unique, is because Eastland was commercialized. It wasn't as walkable. It wasn't as
what do you mean when you say walkable?
Walkable. So walkable means it wasn't necessarily a community because it was commercial. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you had car lots, you had the mall, you had a media play, you had all these different things. And so because of that, it wasn't necessarily a neighborhood. It was a place where people came and bought. It was community, but it wasn't a neighborhood. And so when you look at Eastland, or when you look at Linden, you'll see that was a neighborhood, right? You look at Hilltop, that was a neighborhood. Eastland, obviously there are neighborhoods around it and houses and things like that around it, but there's a difference. And so because of that, I think we can get the buy-in, because we had a Discover Mall, or not a Discover Mall, I'm sorry, we had a Discover Bank at Eastland.
Yeah, we did.
We had all these different things. And so my idea is, one, let's try to make it a little bit more walkable, which is why they're going to be building a path and, hopefully it's a park and things like that. But then also we can get people to come back and buy in. If Discover was here once, they can come back again. You see what I'm saying? If X, Y, and Z was here before, they can come back again. So you may not get what I'm trying to say, but there's a difference. There is a difference in the plans.
I kind of think I know what you're saying, but I'm stuck on the walkable part, right?
Yeah.
Because, again, I lived on Elaine Road.
Yeah.
So I used to walk all the time over the bridge. So I get it. It's not safe.
It's not safe.
It's not right. When you're walking over that bridge, some of us, that was the first time we experienced bridge. And,
right.
It was very scary. So yeah, that's a very good point. And the way Eastland is set up, Elaine is over here. Then you have Courtright around. So it's around it.
It's around it. But
okay,
you get it's hard to explain, but there is a difference. There is a vast difference between the other two plans because of how Eastland specifically is set up.
Right?
Yeah,
okay. Well, I get it. I kind of understand. So then, what does it look? What does buy-in look like? Because when I hear buy-in, I think of a couple different things. I think of, like you said, the big banks come in and buy in and put in what they want. I know there's been talks of crowdfunding, things like that. I don't know if that's anything possible where people can maybe then have hope in their community and see something, say something type of mentality. Or we're just saying, hey, we want, state rep from district 3 here, I believe, what's his name? Ishmael Muhammad. He talked about, or maybe it was on
Representative Gerald.
Representative Dontavius?
Gerald. That's my best
Representative
friend.
Gerald.
Yes.
And she gonna beat me up.
Yeah.
hey, I'm sorry, Gerald. I know I butchered your name, but hey, it was a pleasure having you. But yeah, I know he talked about, if you are a Kroger in the community, you need to be helping the schools. Does it look like something like that? Or?
Correct. So that's what buy-in is.
Okay.
The other thing that I will say, and I want to make this clear. So yes, I mentioned banks, right? And I mentioned all these different things. But the reality is because of area commissions and because of how things are done, essentially, you don't get to just willy-nilly come into a community without first getting approval, right? And so for instance, we'll talk about the Mid-Ohio Food Collective that's going to be on Refugee where old Kroger was. When they decided to purchase the building after Kroger left and all of that, you have to understand they had to come to the area commissions first and ask for approval. And this was a process. You got to ask for approval for how many parking spots you want. Ask for approval as to even if we even want you here. Now, at the end of the day, the decision is made by city council, but you can't willy-nilly just come into a community and then or buy land and then just think that's it. No, you've got to have a conversation with the area commissions, and that's why they're so important, and that's why we can't exit them out of the conversations that we're having, because the reality is they know the communities better than we ever would, because that's their job, essentially. So I wanted to put a pin there so that you all knew, like, you can't just come in our communities and then that's okay and not get, approval. But then also when you come into our communities, those are some of the questions that the area commissions ask. That's some of the questions that I ask as an elected official. What is your buy-in to this community? How are you going to be able to help us? And I would argue that a Kroger realized, look, we're losing more than we're able to help. And so therefore we've got to go. However, we do want to have a say in who replaces us in a sense. Yeah. And so why do you think it's a Mid-Ohio Food Collective and not something else? Because they realize, look, I'm losing more than I'm getting at this point because of theft and all of those different things. And we could talk about the root causes of all of that, but that's a part of the reason why they left. Yeah. But they also said, listen, if we're going to replace it with somebody, let's replace us with somebody who can really help our communities.
And that's important. So I think coming in is just important as exiting, right?
Right. Absolutely.
You want to make sure you leave things where you meet them, or you want to improve. I think that's the idea around everything we're all doing. And,
right. Yeah.
That's really good. So guys, we're asking to come on the east side, buy in. Have a good proposition for us. Make sure that you're being accommodated as well as the community, because this is my area we're talking about. Okay, and we mentioned, some things are coming. What is some? I think you touched on it a little bit. What is something personally you would like to see on the east side as it pertains to District 2?
I would tell you, last year I was on this wave, you all, and my focus was what I could do legislatively, and then also make sure that the Eastland area was being taken care of. That was my priority. I'll tell you guys, I'm saved, and so I know the Lord was saying focus on Eastland, right? And so I've done that. I made sure we got to an Eastland plan. I made sure to have the conversations even before they started. And I just knew that we needed more support. So I'll tell you, I don't have a specific thing. What my goal was is to make sure that the focus was on the community that I represented. And I'll tell you all some statistics that will allow you to realize why I believe God made me focus on that. But we're number one in infant mortality in the Eastland area. We're number one in rental evictions in the Eastland area. And then, as you know, it's a severe food desert. And so what does all those things say about that area? Well, one, people aren't making enough to live in, safe conditions or conditions that they can afford. And then two, again, they're just not living in safe conditions, and that's a part of the reason why babies are dying before they even get to age 1. And so I'll tell you, I guess my whole focus is just making sure, one, highlighting the issues, but then making sure to work alongside our city to make sure that they are focused on that area, because we focus on the south side, we focus on Linden, we focused on the west side, but we're not, at the time, I did not feel like when I got into office that people were paying attention to the statistics. You see what you see in those other areas, but because people don't always come as far east, they don't realize that we were doing far worse than other areas.
And because of probably where it's located and what it looks like too.
Right. Because it does kind of look like a mixed community, but you've got to go back inside and look at a Marsh Run or look at different things and be like, oh, well, this makes sense. Yeah. This is why we're struggling. Or go to an E-Lane as you stated. Yeah. And so I say all that to answer your question, there is no specificity as to what I wanted. I just needed the city and other partners, and I've talked to the city, I've talked to the county, I've talked to the state to focus on that area, and that's what's happening now. And community is coming together, and they're making sure that their voices are being heard, and that's all I can ask for. Obviously, probably a rec center, and I would love a big employer to come to Eastland. So we've got a Discover Center move from New Albany to Whitehall. I represent Whitehall, the entire city, so I'm very happy about that. But like a huge employer to come to Eastland, it can be done.
What employer? Let's call them out. What employer we want to come out there?
Listen.
Which one you got your eyes on?
I don't necessarily. It's just I feel like
call them out right now. Where they at? Hey, we need you.
People have their feelings, but FedEx.
Well, we got Intel coming.
Right. Well, but Intel is important, and I've argued that they need to make sure, and that's why I've had conversations with them a lot, that people from our district are going to be hired at Intel. But that's good. But I mean, like directly in our community.
Imagine, right? And I was having a conversation with somebody. Intel's coming. They're putting a plant, right? Mm-hmm. So are they going to station stores, little stores in places? Like, are we going to be able to go to an Intel store here, maybe locally? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Or how does that work?
I don't think so. So, Intel is going... Well, they have a plant. Intel is going to be located in New Albany. And I think they're trying to build... Well, they are building that in diversifying who's building and whatever. But I know that the conversation is what small businesses will be around Intel to receive the influx of buyers and to grow small businesses. So it's not, it's kind of like a chain reaction. It's not the whole plan, but that's something that they would like to do. So, and I know that they're going to have heavy recruitment efforts. And so that's why Intel has gone into the schools, because this is a long-term thing, right? Yeah. They've gone into high schools, they've gone into middle schools, they've gone into elementary schools, and they've gone into schools in our district. Let's be clear, because they've invited me to come and sit in the classrooms while they're doing their thing. So they are thinking long-term, which is why they're going into elementary schools to say, hey, let's focus on STEM. Same thing as going into high schools. Hey, y'all, let's focus on STEM so you can get hired at Intel, because we're going to be paying and compensating well. And so I think that's great. But one of the things I just want to switch back to, you asked about employers, and I think maybe a FedEx, people have got feelings about Amazon, but at Amazon, I say a Chase call center, a Huntington call center, something that pays more than a living wage, that allows for our people to have access to employment, to live sustainable lives. I'll tell you, my constituents, our neighbors, your family in that neighborhood, and so on, are making about $15,000, $16,000 less than the average Ohioan. They're going to work, but they're making significantly less. Why? Because one, probably transportation needs. Two, what is your skill level? You know, all of those different things. And so I say all that to say we need to put the stuff in our backyard. There is room and there is space enough for employers and opportunities to come to our communities. And if we do that, I really believe we'll see that disparity of $15,000 difference in wages, even though our people are going to work at the same rate. The average Ohioan is going to work at 77.9%. Let me tell you that our constituency, why they try to call us lazy and all this other stuff, our constituency is going to work at 77.1%, but we're making $16,000 less. Come on. So that's why I'm saying we need an employer to be in our communities, in our backyard, so that people will go to work. I'm proud to say I helped to fund, the Goodwill Workforce Development Hub over further down on Bryce Road. Very proud of that. But we need more. They're prepping people to get to go to work and prepping people to work in HR and all those different things. Proud of that. But if we had an employer in our backyard, that's why I'm saying buy-in is going to be so important.
That's true. Yeah. I think they say you should work 5 minutes away from where you live. Yeah. You should go to school 5 minutes away. So I think that's the ideology I think you're touching on, and it's very important. I never looked at it like that. I didn't look at it as you have to travel to Eastland or Easton to shop nowadays because we don't have nothing on the east side. Right. So you're right. So whether we're making the money or not, we're spending it way faster than those who do have those things in the background. Yeah. Now Smith and I had a chance to sit on the Henderson project. One thing I got from that project was in the process of them trying to build the Bronzeville area, right? Back in the day, Lincoln area. They forgot about the people. They forgot about the kids. Absolutely, because they lost. Yes, they was trying to integrate, but they also lost their hangout spots. They lost where the kids were feeling safe because, again, a lot of these people were able to buy in and come same ideology. So what I know you mentioned before you buy in, you have to sit with with y'all. But what are some other actions that's been in place so we don't? For me, I used to go to Far East Recreation Center.
It's still too far though.
Yeah. So, what are we doing to bridge that gap?
Yeah. So this is why I'm bringing up this Eastland plan. They're going to continue to have conversations. You all need to be in the room so that you can provide your feedback. If you're not in the room, you can't complain. If you're not filling out the surveys, you can't complain. This is a time where you speak your piece. What I will say as far as activities for children and young people and all of that, that is at the priority of what I know to be the Far East Area Commission, Mid-East Area Commission. But I think that they call themselves the what do they call themselves? It's East Project, where all of the area commissions come together or whatever. I'm blanking. Greater East. I'm blanking on the name, but that is a part of what they want to do, because the reality is, and I just spoke to some kids at Walnut Ridge a couple of days ago, and I said the same thing. Like, a Far East is too far, depending on where you live, and then a Barnett is even farther from us. And so, as far as recreational activities, they know, the city knows, and they're aware from lots of different sources that's something that they need to do. But to backtrack to the King Lincoln project. So I don't represent that area, but what I will say is that I am from that area. I grew up on the Near East Side, grew up in Trevor Heights, and so I've seen the change. And I think what happened was, as to your point, they wanted to make the area beautiful, and I think also hone in and hold on to the beauty of the Near East Side, the beauty of the King Lincoln area, as far as the history behind it. And that's why I'm so proud to say I'm from the Near East Side, because so many greats have come from the area, which is why we have the wall where you have all these just wonderful people. I mean, you Phil DeHale, who was a legislator and city council, like just beautiful, like history.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of
it's beautiful,
vibrant blacks out there. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So I think that they wanted to hone in on that. I don't want to say necessarily integrate as well, but they wanted to hone in on that and also make it attractive for other people to come into our community. Problem is, though, when they did that, to your point, they priced out normal families, and that is the struggle. So even now, I can't afford to live in King Lincoln, Bronzeville. I'm not paying $400,000 for a house. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. But at the same time, they've priced out some people, and people who have lived there for a long time are also being priced out, having to sell. Our seniors have to sell their homes because property values are increasing, which they should. When you sell, you want to be sitting on something, but not everybody wants to sell, specifically not our seniors, not something that someplace that they've lived 30 and 40 and 50 years. So I don't think,
you talking about lineage.
Absolutely. And they understand the purpose of generational wealth, and when property values increase like that, it makes it hard to hold on to your properties. But anyway, in doing that, to your point, they forgot about the average family. And so that's why you see so many people moving and all of that. And that's why this Eastland plan is so important. We've got to make sure that our voices are at the table. We've got to make sure, like one of the things that I've been doing, which is why we've always have these small business roundtables at LICI, is like, for me, with these changes that are coming to the Eastland area, because they're coming. Now, they're not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over the course of 5 years or so. So be mindful that I said that to you all. But the reality is the small businesses that are in that community now are the anchor of that community. They have kept going without support. Yeah. And so my goal is really, one, how do we make sure that you get more support? And then two, when this change, this influx of, because I believe we're going to have stakeholders. I believe more people are going to want to come and buy into the Eastland area. When they come, I want to make sure you still have the ability to stay.
Yes.
And so that's why my goal has been to equip small businesses with the resources, equipping them with the city of Columbus diversity and inclusion, so that they can talk about the processes of which they can start making bids, making connections with the state of Ohio, so that they can compete with other businesses. My goal is to make sure that y'all can stay while we're welcoming more people in. If we're pushing them out, it's a disservice and a slap in the face to them, because they're the ones that kept the community going.
I agree. Because that's, like you said, the grassroots of the community.
Right, yeah.
You were there when nobody was here to say, hey, we're going to create funding. You was making a way to open your doors, when there's nothing. So I do respect that, you know, coming from a leader, to see that and to want to hold on and preserve, the community, because that's what it is, the very fabric of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. So we want to thank everybody that's opening their doors right now in Eastland, and continue to, like she said, look to the next 5 years to 6 years to see some major changes. So therefore, you should be going through your business and seeing how you plan on growing. And I think that's the way you stay. You don't stay by staying the same.
Right.
I think you stay by changing with the times, right? So you have to go back, look at your business model and say, hey, does this business model matches what they are getting ready to do to these changes? Because you don't want to still be running AOL when you got Intel coming, right? You're going to be waiting to dial up, right? They're like, come on, you want to change with the time, and we want to equip you. I think it's very important that she said, we want to give you the necessary tools, because we have the influx of people, right? They're here, but it's just you need the necessary tools to be able to reach those people, and you yourself being a fabric. And I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, the business owner. I'm talking to you, the car salesman. I'm talking to you, the restaurant owner. To you, the cafe. I'm talking to you, the PLS over there off Livingston.
Amen.
So we're talking to y'all, because that's where our young people are coming, because they don't have bank accounts. They're going to those PLS and they're cashing the checks, and you're taking a huge chunk, or whatever you're taking your percentage. We're talking to you. how are you going to change? What does change look like for you to stay in that community and say, hey, look, I am of this community. I'm in the very fabric of it.
Right.
I want to do these different things. So that's beautiful, man. I love the East Side. And we can sit here and talk about the East Side all day, or even where you at, because I got a chance in high school, and this is a great bridge, right? So I got a chance to live on Hudson and Joyce. I know, right? It's like, oh, I got a chance to live on Hudson and Joyce. And yeah, I had to fastly make it back on the East Side. But hey, I still understand and respect that Joyce Road, that King Lincoln area.
Right.
Because in the 11th grade, you know, I had to drive on that with my first car. I had to go to some of those shops on Cleveland Avenue and fix my car, you know, when it broke down. So I am of Columbus. We're here. We want to let you know the primaries are now. You can vote early. But if you want, I think it's March 19th or May 19th.
March 19th.
March 19th.
Thank
okay.
you.
Yep,
Thank
March
you
19th. That's the official day.
Next week.
Vote early, man. We're encouraging you. Read about the different state reps, see their bill. It's important to follow some of these bills. Some of these bills are going to be right at your back door. They're going to pass 90 days from whenever they agree on it. And guess what? You have to deal with it. So it doesn't hurt to put your hands up and say, I agree or I disagree. You know, let's be a part. And the segue is, let's talk about, we have something we do here called What's Your Mud? Okay. And for me, you know, I always think of my 9-year-old self. What did I want to be when I was growing up? My bottom line is the young black man. I see a lot of programs and organizations about women, young. Oh yeah, I don't really see much for black men. I see a couple, and I try and be as a part, but that's like my bottom line. So whenever somebody's screaming out, "Oh, shout out to the single black women," I'm like, shout out to the single black young man too. So you know, but respectfully, equally the same, right? I just want us to make sure we're being inclusive when it comes to us. Yeah. And that's really my mud. That's my fabric. Went to school in Akron for college. Again, you know, I'm from Elaine Road. I'm from Liberia first. I came here when I was 8, and I landed on Elaine Road, and I stayed on there about 15 years, and then went to Hudson. Yeah, and then college. And I'm in Pickerton now, but
he said, I'm still east. Eastern Central Ohio.
Yeah. My wife is like, why you want to stay east? And she's like, well, we want to buy another house and we got to go up north. And I'm like, my heart is on the east side. Right. You know, went to elementary school here, middle school, and high school. So how could you not love it? Yeah. Right? But that's my mud. And I just want to know, what's your mud? What keeps you going?
Oh man, people. I often say one of my goals, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I'm so in love with everybody and da 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 da. No, the reality is for me is for people to have their basic necessities. I could certainly just disdain a person, but inside, my hope for them would be you have everything you need to live a decent life. And that's how I operate, and that's how I legislate. And so I guess ultimately that is love. I just want you to have the basic necessities. And so what keeps me going is understanding that people don't. I read off the statistics of Ohio's second House district before, but specifically in an area that has a lot of opportunities. And that's what keeps me going, is knowing that people don't have the things that they need. And so I understand that I have to be a fighter for these people. I understand that I have to stick up for these people. I understand that I may have to make commentary that might not be so appealing or appeasing to some of my colleagues or some of my friends. But what keeps me going is knowing that I have to fight for people, period. I go to sleep at night thinking about my constituency. I wake up in the morning thinking about my constituency and what I can do to put them in a better place. It's not about advancing to the next position. It's not about trying to stay in this position. It's about doing what I need to do while it is that I'm here, because I understand nobody but God put me here, and it was only to make sure that I was serving you all. So that is my goal. That is what I live and breathe for. But I wanted to touch on something real quick because I'm pretty sure we're about to wrap up. I would agree with you on young men not having the same opportunities. And I think the reality is why I can so openly say that as a Black woman and a Black elected official or whatever is because I'm a mother to a Black son. And I see that there's a difference in programming for young women and young Black women than it is for young Black men. And so that's why we have been trying to do things specifically in this season for young Black boys. We had a basketball tournament that was for everyone, but it was no secret why we picked the entertainers we picked to show up for those events, because we knew the majority of the young people that were going to be in the room were young Black boys. Fast forward, we are having an event the day after the election over at 4300 Kimberly Parkway, LICI. It is called Real Spill, a conversation with young Black men. We're going to be having a total of 5 different rappers. One of them will be a special guest, and we'll share that if you decide to come on that day. But 5 different rappers who are going to share their experiences with the audience, but specifically catering the conversation to young Black men so that they know you don't have to go this route. I went this route already. You don't have to take the route. Here's another way.
Talk about it.
You know, you can take in sharing their journey and the struggles with mental health and, you know, just all these different things, struggles with maybe money, relationships, whatever. This is that opportunity. I realize Black boys, young Black men don't have a safe space to have conversation. And I'm creating that in my capacity because the reality is when we look at the crimes that are being committed in our communities and all of that, we understand that it ain't just us, but it is predominantly us. And a lot of that, and predominantly Black men, but a lot of that is because there are no safe spaces for you to open up and talk about what's happening at home. There are no safe spaces to talk about my mother is a drug addicted and I don't know how to handle it and I got to take care of the family and I got to be the man of the house and I'm not even old enough to have a job. Listen, we know that. And so we want to create opportunities so that folks can, and so young Black men feel safe to have conversations about their true feelings. So March 20th, 6 to 8 p.m., 4300 Kimberly Parkway. Listen, just come.
Yeah, pull up.
Just come.
Kimberly Parkway, March 20th. We're going to be there.
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Free
I actually
food.
seen that event. And I was going to touch on it because, again, that's what it's about, right? It's a free... it's a cover fee. I think it's like $15.
No, it is free.
It's free?
It's free.
Okay.
It's free.
I thought it was $15.
No, it's out of my pocket. It's free.
Okay. It's free. It's free, y'all. Forget that, okay? We'll be there. Me and Smith plan on being there in attendance. And look, it's important that we do have these platforms again. Like, that's my bottom line. So I'm going to be there regardless. I care for the young Black men because I have a bunch of young Black men who called me on a day-to-day. You know, and that's why I think one of the most important things why we do this, because I remember not having no positive influence on Elaine Road.
Right.
None. Everybody, every time I walked outside, it was like, sell this or beat this person up or do this. And it was like, I don't want to do that. I really want to go play sports and come home.
Right.
So this is why I'm in front of this camera, so you can see somebody that looks like you, somebody that speak like you, you know, you can relate to and say, hey, he's doing this, I can do it. And this is the same idea behind the conversation that's being held after the election. So make sure you're in attendance. It's very important, guys. Again, she said something earlier. If you're not in the room, you can't make a difference. If we don't hear your voice don't matter, okay? So come, let's talk about it, because there's a lot of things that's happening between, let's talk about the community. I'm from the community. Let's talk about why Elaine Road don't get along with the East Haven area. Let's talk about it, because that might be healing.
Not in it,
You know what I'm saying? That might bring healing, because a lot of people, it's like, we used to go to the Whitehall Fair or Whitehall Boom, and people start fighting. But maybe if we have these conversations, you might be families. Some people don't even know their families. And I used to do work where I go into the homes and talk to young black men, and they'd be like, my mom don't talk to her sister who lives up north, and I haven't seen them in 10 years. And it's like, really? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I understand. Let's be in that room. Let's be in attendance. Shout out to Smith Francois for being behind the cameras. I want to say thank you, Representative Humphrey. It's a pleasure. I look forward to continue having these conversations and being in different spaces with you. I want to again stress how important it is to be here on As One, and we appreciate you. We want to be an ally. Yeah. And we want to encourage you to continue. And if you have anything message you want to push out, this is a platform for you, for us, to encourage the young people. I'm not gonna lie, when I seen you with my mentor Alpha, right? And because Alpha has this swag. It's called swag about him, right?
That's so it's like
when he brings somebody in the room, I'm always like, who is that? And when I remember I seen y'all, and it was before the speech, I think it was at the women's event, up on when they give you the kente cloth. Okay. Yeah. So and I was like, wow, man, this is a young, black lady, and she's doing her thing. And you spoke so well. And I just want to tell you, speaking for the Liberian people in the community, I want to thank you again. You didn't make me cry. To. You were there, and you always there for us. And one thing I always say, Rep Humphrey, he says the same thing. That's my sister. She's always there around there. So I'm telling you, as his little brother, him being my mentor, we appreciate you in the community, and we continue to see you rise and grow. And any last thing you want to say? Anything you want to say to? I'm gonna get Smith in here.
We'll add a little something to it. I don't usually talk about behind the cameras, but I really want to say thank you for coming on the show, the platform, the assistance you've done for our Haitian Community Network, and just your presence from this interview. What I took is, being a business owner, I had to bring my input out to the commissioner. So that's what I took from the interview. And in order to do that, my ideas are stuck in my head, but I had to bring it out. So thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. And absolutely, that's what I'll do. You want big corporations to come in, so I'll infuse my ideas. So my idea is restaurants, like New Americans. We spoke a little bit earlier, U.S. native, but it's like there's other cultures that are coming. I'm part of NULA now, so it's like, all right, we're a group of people. There's no center, no hub for New Americans. Right. And their primary thing is football. So how can I include Columbus soccer, come to the east side? So that's the ideas you got me flowing through my head. And just thank you for being on As One. Absolutely.
Okay, hopefully you've been liking, sharing the content here on As One. We have been with State Representative Humphrey, and she has given us a lot of insight. And again, the power that this lady has, right? You get to see her work before you see her. And that's power, okay? And I just want to wrap it up. Anything she wants us to know, we know we're in the primaries, we've covered that, but we want you to be involved. So, I'm going to let her take it, and we're going to close out here. But anything else you want us to know, where they can find you, any shout-outs? Shout out to them? No, I'm
just, again, certainly appreciate being here with you all and speaking to your audience. Just know that I care about you, and no problem is too big, no problem is too small. You can always reach out to me, regardless of if even you live in Ohio's Second House District. So what I will tell you is I am very active on Instagram at Rep Latyna M. Humphrey. So Latyna is spelled Latyna, and then M. Humphrey, Humphreys. But again, you could Google search my name. You'll find my official page with work where you can send my office an email. You could call. You can find my campaign website. You just Google me. You can find me. But Instagram is just fine. I love what I do. Want you guys to know that, and want you all to know that I'm a resource to you. And every day I'm working on behalf of you. So that's all I have.
Awesome. Hold on. Where are those books? You say you're 2-time author.
Yeah.
Where can we get those books?
So,
yes.
I actually cut them off from being sold just because it's just a lot that goes into it. But should somebody want to order, just DM me. They're on my page. You'll see them. First book is called Girl, You Can Do This. I did. It's a really good book. It talks about my journey, struggles with mental health, my relationship with money, and just all of that's a really good book. And then my other book is called 96 Days of Gratitude, because some days we fall short, and that really takes a deep dive into my struggles with mental health, specifically anxiety. Struggle with anxiety for a very long time. And so man, I'm an open book. You ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you, but ultimately all of it is inside the books. If you want to buy a book, just DM me and we'll make that happen.
Make it happen, man. Hey, hit that DM, let her know. She said 2 books. Get one, at least one, okay? We'll see you at the next meeting by the Eastland, all right? Drop that in the comment.